Yo! Video games.
So, okay. So now, we get to talk about... We can have a quick conversation about Ocarina of Time. And I'm going to give my personal review as far as a not Zelda player playing a Zelda game. Okay, let's talk about... I want to first go over the things that bug me in the game, and its technical limitations.
Right.
If the emulation is exactly or similar to the emulation of the N64, the game's biggest issue is technical limitations, like wall clinging, like climbing onto walls sometimes acts a little fucking weird, and the frame rate and the world itself, I feel, is kind of empty, and that's pretty much a product of its time. Like, it was almost too big for its own good, I feel. And back in the day, it must have felt fucking amazing to have this big world and everything, but I kind of feel like the world feels a little fucking empty when I was playing. Other than that, I did have, just as a personal gripe, I was kind of grinding through a lot of the dungeons just to get to the boss. I did enjoy the final dungeon. I didn't hate it. I felt it was kind of cheap.
It was kind of cheap.
The one that was before it was the light dungeon, right?
The Spirit Temple.
The Spirit Temple was the best one in the entire game.
Yeah, but no one's gonna. Very few people would actually argue that.
Yeah, and well, in comparison to like the previous dungeons and their like fun factor, I feel that those couple are just way more fun than almost any other one in the entire game. Although I did enjoy the very introductory puzzles in the first dungeon, the tree.
Oh yeah, the Deku tree.
Yeah, the Deku tree. I like that. But as far as like a lot of the other ones, like the Water Temple is just freaking annoying. And the Shadow Temple I thought was pretty freaking annoying. And I felt in some of the other dungeons they were just in the way for me fighting cool stuff and like getting to the bosses and things. And you get a lot of that in the final dungeon when you start going up and you fight all the bad guys on the way up to Ganon, and Ganon's fight is actually really cool. I still personally feel that the controls in this game and the camera aren't great. Like, they're okay. It works. As a product of its time, back in the day, probably the best there fucking was. For a 3D style game. Because even Mario 64's was kind of lame.
Yeah, it didn't have a lot of control. I mean, there were other games where it would use the C buttons to sort of move the camera left and right.
Yeah.
Like one space at a time. This game only had the lock-on or the snap to your back.
Yeah.
So it was actually more limited than certain other games at the time actually were. So it's not like the most advanced camera.
Okay, and that is one of my personal gripes, is that the camera and like how action moves and how a lot of when you get into action is very circular based. Like things move in like a clockwise or counterclockwise direction, and sometimes like the characters go in front of the fucking camera and they go behind. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And it's a little jarring. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's just a personal gripe. I didn't really have much of an issue with the combat when I actually get to play the game more than for like 30 minutes every few weeks, and I remember what the buttons are and everything. I think my biggest issue is technical limitations. Otherwise, it's really fun. Personally, I'd probably give the game an 8.5 as far as my personal scale. But like games that get like a fucking 10 in my book are like Bayonetta and stuff, because I can play them over and over and over again. I sadly wouldn't like to play Ocarina of Time over again. It's just not my style of game. I dig adventure games, I dig Uncharted style games too, but for some reason, like the dungeon, the super dungeony, crawly aspect of Zelda is just different than Uncharted games, and it's very similar, which is funny. Except Uncharted, you shoot things.
Well, Uncharted is just kind of just a movie. You move forward and shoot things and watch shit happen.
Well, the dungeons are quite different. Like, you have to solve puzzles fucking everywhere, and it's a variety of puzzles throughout the dungeons. It's kind of similar, which is funny. It's not an open world like Zelda games are, but it's a followed path that eventually leads you to a dungeon, and then the path to the dungeon. And the paths have conflicting challenges with guns and everything. So I don't know. I think Ocarina of Time is really good, and it's you're not gonna get anything to make me say it's better than Final Fantasy VII. It's just not gonna happen, because I think Final Fantasy VII's story is also really captivating, and in this game I was really interested in like the story itself, but it feels like in Zelda games the fans make the story way bigger than it actually is.
Well, there's a whole subtext to like how Zelda's story is subverted because Miyamoto doesn't want text in his games.
Yeah, and
so there's people on the team that are hiding story away in
and
pockets.
it feels like that. Like it feels like the game is actually pretty narrow as far as, or nondescript as far as like how the narrative of the characters is and everything. And I think Ganon's a cool bad guy, but I didn't feel like he was like a fucking crazy bad guy, because the only thing they ever established that he's a bad guy is that he kidnaps the person in the beginning of the game, he fucks over the world, and then that's it. And sure, he's a bad guy because of it, but you don't have any other thing to establish that he's a bad fucking guy as a result.
Well, you gotta you kind of have to dig a little deeper than just the surface level, because you gotta understand, okay, he's a Gerudo. He's a Gerudo male. He's the leader of that tribe. The tribe is a tribe that lives in the desert, and they're pretty much outcasts. If you talk to the people in town, they talk about how they don't see Gerudos around.
Yeah.
They're scared of Gerudos, kind of thing.
It's not surface level, like as far as like the narrative. Like you have to search for it. I mean that's the equivalent of like Lucretia in Final Fantasy VII.
They bring it out a little more in like Wind Waker, but yeah, I mean, no, Ganon's he's a much more developed villain, more from what you take from this game and more from what Wind Waker does with him.
Right, I can definitely see that. So that's my only gripe, is that I thought the story was going to be crazy and really captivating, and shockingly, the most captivating thing I feel in Ocarina of Time is the dungeons. And if you're really into fucking dungeons, you're gonna love the fuck out of this game. And that's the only thing, is like I feel like dungeons are cut off from the world, and I'm in this boring, dank place, like waiting to get out to cool places. So I don't know. I wish there was more outdoor dungeons, I really do. Like, for some reason, being inside a dank place and then eventually getting deep enough to fight the dank thing to get the fuck out. Like, my goal is to get the fuck out of here. And, you know, I don't know. That's my only personal gripe with Zelda games. I really don't think I felt that with Twilight Princess, though, because Twilight Princess dungeons were fucking... I remember them actually being fun.
They're really good. Well, Twilight Princess has the best, at least as far as 3D goes, like the best dungeons in the series.
Yeah, I actually remember that being pretty enjoyable, and to be honest, I would not mind playing Twilight Princess again. And I'll just say it right now, I like Twilight Princess more than Ocarina of Time, because I probably played it first. So,
well, I mean, there are certain people who feel that Twilight Princess is just
this game but more.
It's like it's the perfected formula for Ocarina.
Yeah. And now that I've played this game and I have this perspective, yeah, Twilight Princess just feels like a better fucking Zelda game than this game. Because it's just the same thing, but improved. So I don't know, I think as a product of its time, Zelda is like a 9.5 game. I don't think it's a perfect 10 because it has problems. It has camera problems and shit.
Eh.
And I don't think all the dungeons are amazing. I think some of them are not good.
Not good?
Like, I don't want to ever do that again, type of thing. Other than that, I really like the game. But, you know, yes, I know, Bayonet is probably the next one. So that's my personal review of Zelda Ocarina of Time after retro coaching through the entire damn thing. I personally give it an 8.5. I think as a product of its time, it probably is a 9.5. I don't think it's the best game ever, or like a perfect game.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. What we will play in the future is the greatest game ever and the most perfect game ever made, Final Fantasy VII. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time.